Alrighty, today's lesson is a fraction, decimal, and percent review. So we're going to review actually how to type these into the calculator. So if I have the fraction 4 and 8/25, I'm going to type in 4, the fraction button, 8, fraction button, 25, and it's going to look like that on my calculator. If I hit equals, it's going to keep it as a fraction. I can hit the fraction button again, and it changes over to the decimal 4.32. Once I have my decimal, if you remember, move the decimal point 2 places to the right to turn it into a percent. So I'm at 432%. With 8%, I need to move the decimal point 2 places to the left, so this is going to be 0.08. I can type that into my calculator, 0.08. And then I can actually hit the fraction button and it'll simplify the fraction for me. The other way of thinking about this would be to say this is 8/100ths, so I could write it out as 8/100ths and then simplify it. In this one, I notice I have 3 and it's in the tenths, hundredths, thousandths place, so my fraction is just 3 over 1,000. Again, I could go ahead and type that into my calculator and the calculator would flip it over, but this one was easy and doesn't have to be simplified. If I move my decimal point 2 places to the right, I end up with 0.3%. We are going to write the 0 out front. It's just a mathematical thing. It makes it a little bit more clear to somebody, and then if they miss the decimal point, 0.3% is way different than 3%. For 1/4, we actually know that that's a quarter, so 25.25, which is 25%. 7/100ths, I'm going to actually just write out because it's 7/100ths, so it goes into the hundredths place, and that would be 7%. This would be 1%, which is also 1 over 100, and kind of a quick little tip here. Your percents, drop the percent sign, put it over 100 and simplify. So drop the percent sign, put it over 100. 100% is just going to be 1 whole, so just 1. 5.75, this is going to be 575%. We can write this as a mixed number. It's actually 5 3/4. And the last one, 52.3%, is 0.523. If you look at that, 523 thousandths. Okay. Over on the next page, it talks a little bit about just thinking about percents, and I recommend that you think about a pizza. So a whole pizza is 100%, so if we fill in that whole pizza. If we only do 50% of the pizza, you've eaten half of the pizza. So if I asked you to do 150%, you would have 1 whole pizza, and then you would have half of a pizza then. 75% would be 3/4, so if you would split it into quarters, and you would eat 3 of them. So real quick down here at the bottom, what does the word of mean in math? It's actually telling you to multiply. So if I have 6 Crave cases of 30 White Castle hamburgers, how many burgers do I have? 6 cases of 30, 6 times 30. So we actually have 180 burgers. And just kind of getting you thinking, if I take 50% of a number, 50% would be half. So if I'm taking half of a number, my result is actually going to be smaller than the original. If I do 175%, think back up here to our pizzas, this is more than the whole. It's more than what we originally started with 1 whole. So it's actually going to result in a larger number. 60% is smaller than 1 whole, so it's actually going to go smaller than the original. Just thinking ahead here for our next lesson, how could we use our calculator to find 75% of 80? Hopefully you're thinking to yourself, percents I can't type into my calculator, so I'm going to have to change this to a decimal. The word of is reminding me to multiply, so I'm going to multiply by 80 then, and if I do that, I actually end up with 60.